Massenomics.
We last left our old pal Professor Schanz finishing up part 1 of his video, Why Women Should Lift Weights Like Men. If you haven't gotten a chance to check out that first one, you better take a look at it. There it is on the screen right there. Now let's take a look and see if the professor can make that big leap from part 1 to part 2. Here he goes.
General.
Like a piece of cake.
Cut that one awfully close there.
Professor Schanz.
So let's say that you're not really interested in building any muscle, you don't necessarily care about your shape or tone or whatever, and you're looking just to drop body fat, and so you might think to yourself that, well, just doing a bunch of cardio is going to be the best way to go, but you would be wrong. And let me tell you why. There's this thing called EPOC, this stands for excess post-oxygen consumption. And what that is that after you exercise and you create an oxygen debt, your body needs to return to homeostasis, its resting point, and in doing so after exercise it's consuming more oxygen, and at this point your metabolism is elevated, it's doing all the muscular repairs, all the hormonal fluctuations that happen in order to repair your muscles, produce the adaptations that happen while you exercised. And eventually, you know, it brings you back down to your homeostasis with hopefully just a slight improvement in your fitness levels, whether that's, you know, improvement in your VO2 max or an improvement in muscular endurance, muscular strength, an increase in muscle size, etc. I mean, why this is important is basically this EPOC is an elevated metabolism. While you're in this excess post-oxygen consumption mode, you have an elevated metabolism, which means you're burning more calories, which means you're burning more fat. And if losing body fat is your goal, elevated metabolism, as everybody knows, is a good thing. So the main difference that I want to point out with EPOC and cardio and strength training is with cardiovascular training, EPOC is going to be elevated for up to 12 hours after you're done with you know, running on a treadmill, on an elliptical, or anything that's strictly cardiovascular based and doesn't have a strength training component to it. So that's 12 hours of an elevated metabolism, 12 hours, you know, for your body to bring itself back to homeostasis, produce all those adaptations. So you're thinking to yourself, great, you know, cardio, 12 hours of EPOC, 12 hours of elevated metabolism, that's 12 hours I'm going to be burning more calorie and burning more fat. However, with strength training or weight training, EPOC is elevated for up to, or EPOC lasts up to 72 hours. That means that your metabolism is going to be elevated for 72 hours. For 72 hours. For 72 hours from weight training. So this instance right here is an extremely important reason why weight training is an integral part of trying to lose body fat. You can combine the two together and have good progress, but still making weight training the focal point is extremely important because you're going to have that elevated metabolism for up to 72 hours. And if you think about it, most people weight train maybe back-to-back days or they have a day off. Even such, if you do a day off in between, you're still going to be elevated in metabolism by the time you weight train again. So essentially, you are in a constant state of having an elevated metabolism from your body just repairing itself and producing those adaptations with EPOC. So I think it's pretty clear that weight training needs to be, you know, a focus point of the training that you do, even if it's just fat loss. Alright, we're going to hit on metabolism again and another benefit to weight training. Okay, so with weight training, you're going to tend to see some muscle gain. At least that's the goal with what you're doing with weight training. As long as you're doing it correctly, you should see some muscle gain. And why this is important is that muscle is a very metabolically active tissue, meaning it takes a lot of calories to support. So you know, every time you gain muscle, that's more calories your body burns at rest, you know, inherently, just to maintain that muscle. So the more muscle you have, the higher metabolism, the more calories you expend just maintaining that muscle, which is good because we're all about burning more calories at rest or at any point to lose body fat. And another reason this is really important is that throughout your day, at rest, so to speak, when most people who don't have physically demanding jobs, they're going to be basically at rest throughout the day, not doing anything physically strenuous that's going to require a lot of energy. So, you know, that's your typical day of sitting in your office chair, walking around, walking up and down stairs if you have to a couple times, you know, just your usual daily routine, aside from the people that are doing, you know, manual labor type jobs. And your usual routine, which is, as I said, termed at rest, your body's at rest, so to speak, you are burning about 80% of your calories come from fat at that point. So the more muscle you have just going throughout your day, the more fat you are going to burn, because the majority of the time that you spend throughout your day isn't exercising. It's at this, you know, at rest term that I'm using. And like I said, at this at rest term, 80% of your fuel comes from fat. So you're burning way more fat by having way more muscle, and ultimately, for people that are trying to burn fat, that's what you're looking for. Alright, so just to do a quick recap of what I was explaining here. Quite simply, the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to burn, because it's a very metabolically active tissue. And while you're at rest, 80% of your fuel comes from fat, so that means the more muscle, more fat you burn, especially at rest. When you're not at rest, when you're working out, weight training hard, or doing cardiovascular training hard, you're basically, most people are probably using the glycolytic system. They're using a large amount of glucose and not using fat. So you hear the term fat burning zone a lot, doing cardio and stuff like that. There is certain percentages, heart rate percentages, where yeah, you're using more fat than glucose, but in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of misleading to call it a fat burning zone. Most of your fat burning happens after the fact, because you spend so much time outside of that exercise zone. So most of your fat burning is going to happen throughout the day. When you have more muscle, you burn more fat. Really, those are the key take-home points from this. More muscle, you burn more fat. It's that simple. So as a female, you need to weight train hard, because it's harder for you guys, for you gals, to gain muscle from that weight training. So you need to make it, you know, a focal point. And then when you do gain muscle from that, you're going to burn more fat at rest. You're going to expend more calories throughout the day. You're going to have a higher metabolism. And another benefit that I like about this is it allows you more leeway with your diet, basically, and you don't have to be so on point, because you're burning more calories. You don't have to be quite as strict, and it just allows for a little more flexibility throughout your daily life. Now, Massenomics may seem really macho and masculine, and it is, but we value our female fan just as much as our male fan.
Whole life I've been biding my time, then I realised this reality's been falsified.
Click on a video below to check out more of our hilarious and informative content. Don't forget to click that subscribe button right there. Check us out on our other social media outlets, and if you want to start looking cool, ask us about our apparel options. And most importantly, please remember, it's always science. It's definitely Massenomics.